last one, we're going to look at this tewhariki early childhood curriculum, and you'll notice it is quite lengthy. So I don't expect you to read everything word for word. What I would like you to do is read the foreword so that you understand how they came to create this New Zealand curriculum, and read the treaty because it is a relationship to the indigenous people of New Zealand and the Maori people. And this was a pretty big deal because very similar to our country, there's a very violent and unjust history there that needs to be mended and taken care of. And there were many Maori people with young children whose children were not getting an education in their own culture, and there was not a relationship to the natural world around them that was being respected. And also, just in general, it was decided by the early childhood teachers themselves that this needed to happen. So I want you to just read through those two forwarded pieces in the foreword, and then let's go look through. You can see some of their main ideas, their big ideas, and I think what you can do is go on through to, let's go down into the Rariki, what it means. You can read about that there. Make that one of your headings, I would say. And you can see what the weaving is here. And you notice that it's written in both languages. So I think that's really important to make a note of. Here it talks about how this curriculum was written for all children. I would like you to do a heading on why this is a curriculum in reality for all children. We often say that, but it's just never true. So given that play is a universal right from the United Nations, this is a really good example of a country where this is taken seriously in terms of everyone who lives in the country and who is in the country first. So I think definitely read through this portion where it describes different aspects of how the curriculum affects different age groups. And then look at how it's organized. You could make that a heading. And then I would like for you to definitely go into these principles. Here's principle 1, and then you'll just go all the way through principle 2. And so I want you to go through those principles and then look at, just read over, definitely do a heading for those principles. And you'll notice when you read their beliefs about how children learn, they're really not that different at all than ours. But here is something that is different. Strand 1, well-being. I want you to dive deeply into that. So that would be a heading. Make sure you really understand. They have answered the question, what would a curriculum look like if well-being was the most important thing and if it influenced everything we did? So I want you to really look through that in great depth and organize the different age groups and how that they are impacted by that particular practice. Here are some, right here on this page, there are some questions asked at the end of strand 1 about reflective practice. How am I really taking care of this particular commitment to well-being with my children? Then notice strand 2, belonging. So you notice nowhere in here is it learn your ABCs, learn your numbers, right? Like our Kentucky standards. These are coming out of the indigenous people's values for children. And the entire country now has adopted them. So again, I want you to make strand 2, belonging, a heading. dive deeply into all these practices, how they're connected to various age groups, and again, looking at questions for reflection. All right, then we come to strand 3. Again, nothing to do with academics. Contribution. Oh my gosh, how about that? What if we were raising young children to look at well-being, belonging, and contribution as things that we need to actually provide them experiences in? So again, I want you to make this heading, go through the exact process. How are they doing this? And why are they doing this? And then look at the questions for reflection that they ask themselves. And maybe even when you go through these, answer some of them, or comment about how well you think we do that here. Strand 4, communication. Imagine raising young children to be able to communicate with each other, to contribute to their communities, to belong to their communities, to be well. The community takes care of them so they have well-being. So in this strand, I want you to do the same thing. Dive in, look at the different age groups, look at the reflection questions. Exploration is strand 5. Same thing. What if children were just exploring and playing, right? So I want you to do the same thing with that strand. And then you can stop there. So I really want you to just look at, again, I'll review this. I want you to read the introduction portion, the foreword, and you can make that a heading if you want and just comment about it. Then look at the treaty and comment about the idea of treaties and of relationships to indigenous populations and how that impacts our teaching. Is it included? Why not? And look at how they did include it. So then you're going to come all the way down. You can see there's some, like I said, there's some introduction pieces that tell you a lot about how this happened in New Zealand. You can read over those, and then be sure to look at this woven mat and what they value. Here are these strands right here, and then they have these pieces in relationship to communities. So then I want you to go on down to the strands. You can read through the framework and everything. The strands are listed right here. There are their principles. Principle 1, you can read through their principles. Empowerment, you can write about that. Principle 2, holistic development, write about that. Principle 3, family and community, write about that. Principle 4, relationships, write about that. Now you're getting into the strands. So we'll go on down here and go through the strands. So basically, you're looking at writing about the strands, the principles, and commenting about the early parts, the treaty and the introduction and forward. So I hope that's helpful. These will be deep dives, these 3 pieces you're doing this week. So I understand that. That's why I wanted to give you some really in-depth direction about that.